like having a lot of different issues.
So do you have a full class tomorrow, or
It looks like it. It looks like around 10 to 12.
It's weird how
But people might write me tonight, and so I don't know. It's just, and a lot of people are traveling right now.
Sure. But it looked very stormy this morning too, so that may have not.
Yeah, the weather.
Yeah.
That rain last night was a lot of rain. Where I am.
Oh, did you get a lot of rain?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Good.
I live in South Oklahoma City, and
If
On
we had a
second.
lot more, I didn't hear it.
really, like at 4 o'clock, I could barely get down the street.
We probably got over an inch at my house,
Wow.
but it was gentle,
Oh, mine was
That's
like
so good.
torrential.
torrential. Yeah.
It just depends on where you are.
Yeah.
But nice, cool weather, I'll tell you that. So get comfortable. We're here,
I
so.
saw for the first time today, construction over there off 36, where that 7-Eleven is, just on the other side of the, have you seen that? I'm just warning you. Don't try to look that way at all.
Yeah, I live right over there.
Yeah, I mean, they dug that whole thing out, and I was just like, what?
Oh,
So to go
I
along
haven't
the
been.
highway, I guess. You could just
Oh.
find that too.
construction everywhere.
Everywhere.
Oh, well, get comfortable. You know, whether you're in a chair or on the floor, use blankets if you need to, let your eyes close. Let yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. And then just watch your breath. Receive your breaths in and out through your nose. And if you can feel the breath coming into the belly, feeling the belly expand as you inhale. And then releasing your arms on out beside you here. Now, let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's come on into a little seated forward bend. And you know, on the floor, you're welcome to stretch your legs out if you'd rather, or stay cross-legged. Ease your way forward and take your time. If you're in your chair and you want to come lower with your hands, by all means do. See if you can release your head a little bit. Let your head hang, release your neck. And just breathe easily, feeling the ribs expand as you inhale. Good, and we're going to slowly come on back up from there. Take your time, readjust your legs however you need. Bring your arms on out beside you again. And take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist towards let's go to our right, towards the door you came in. I'm going to go ahead and mirror you today. So let yourself come on around. Lengthen up through the top of your head. One more inhale. On the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and go off into the other direction. Good. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around into center. And let's rise our arms on straight out from our shoulders and turn our palms up. And then bend your elbows and let your fingertips come to the tops of your shoulders here. And as you exhale, bring your elbows forward and towards each other in front of you. And when you inhale, let them open back out beside you. So exhaling, bringing the elbows forward And inhale, opening up. And then one more time. Exhale, bringing the elbows forward. And on the inhale, letting them open wide. And now lift your left elbow up a little higher. So come into a bit of a side stretch there. And then come on back through center and go to the other side. So just let yourself feel a little more there through the right side. And then come on back again. Let's do it again. Left elbow up a little bit higher if you can. And then coming on back and other side. So letting yourself find the side waist there. And then come on back. Release your arms on down beside you. Shake your hands out a little bit. And let's stretch, if you're on the floor, stretch your left leg out and cross your right ankle there above your knee or below if you need to. Just so you come into feeling your hip. And ease your way forward a bit if you can. Think of coming forward from a long back. Flex through that foot. You know, you're welcome to put your hand on your foot there. You can interlace your fingers if you want between your toes. You can press the ball of your foot into your hand. Whatever helps you feel good, both in your foot and your hip. Let your shoulders release down. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on up and we're going to switch legs and come to the other side. So again, how you cross, how low or high you cross, up to you. Flex through that foot, and again, it is totally up to you if you want to put your hand on your foot, pressing the ball with the foot into the hand, or think of interlacing your fingers a little bit between your toes. Good. One more breath. Let's come up again. Let's uncross our legs here. Bring our arms on out beside us again. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. And then we'll unfold our arms on down. Shake out a little bit. Stretch your legs out if you need to. We're going to come around towards hands and knees. You know, if you don't want to be on your knees, don't be. You can use a blanket if you're on the floor, or you can use your hands up in the seat of your chair so that you're not even down on your knees at all. So take your time and remember your wrists as well. If you need to come on to fist, do, so that you don't have that wrist crease and that feels better in your hands and your wrists. Otherwise, spread your fingers nice and wide if you can. And then just start to flow through your back a little bit here. And see if you can imagine at first starting like your cat-cows are kind of tiny. You're not pushing to any extreme. You're just feeling the tailbone and just gradually moving up the spine, but they're kind of like little cat-cows. Just feeling how the spine feels. And once you get going there, if you feel like you want to go ahead and go a little bit deeper so that the curves become a little deeper in the back, go right ahead. You know, you can press up more into your cat pose, feeling that openness between the shoulder blades on the back. You can sink your belly down lower for cow if you want to. Good. And then finish the one you're on. We'll come on back to more neutral spine. And let's step our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into that first lunge. And you know your height of your hands is up to you, whether you're using the chair or the blocks any height. Opening up through the back of that right leg. And now think about your whole body here. Feel the whole back of your body. Think of your back of your head coming into line with your spine as well. Good. We're going to switch legs. So however you need to come to that other side. Remember, you want that back left heel reaching directly behind the center of your foot if you can. Good. Draw your shoulders down. Again, picture your whole body here in the pose. switch again. And I know some of you, when you come into this lunge, like to pick up that left hand or forearm and put it on your thigh. You're more than welcome to do that if that feels good to you. Otherwise, keep your hand down. Good. And then we're going to switch again. So again, once you feel really stable in the lunge, if you like to pick up your right hand or forearm and bring it to your thigh, you can. And from here, let's step forward and come on into our standing forward bend. So be mindful, really be aware of how your back feels when you come forward into a forward bend. Use support. If you need to keep your back long, you can always bend your knees and put your elbows above your knees to support your low back. You can use your chair. You can use your hands on your blocks. And just breathe now. Feel the weight of your head. Really start to focus on letting go through your face. Imagine relaxing your throat. And then feel those full deep breaths. Let them start to become a little more even in length, your inhales and your exhales. From here, let's bend our knees a little more deeply, bring our hands to our hips and rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms out and up overhead, and on our exhale let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So find your mountain pose however you need. Get your feet the distance apart that feels good for you, and then as you bring your hands to be in front of your chest there, for a second look down and then let your fingertips start to turn down towards the ground. And see if you can focus like on your feet down there. So your hands are kind of between your feet, but you're really bringing your focus to your feet. And then see if you can bring your focus up to your thumbs there, your hands and your thumbs. And then on your next exhale, just rise your gaze on up and let your hands come thumbs inward towards your breastbone. Coming into mountain pose here, bringing your gaze on forward and out, whether your eyes are open or closed. Feel your tailbone reaching down towards between your heels, finding that alignment of your pelvis. Good. And then letting our arms unfold on down beside us. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we're going to bend our knees and come forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long, flat back. And we'll step our right foot back to come into lunge here. Good. And inhale. Exhale into a downward facing dog pose. So into your down dog. Be mindful as you step back into dog. Walk a little bit if you need to. Do what feels really good to allow your downward facing dog pose to feel a little more natural. Elbows are hugging in towards each other. And on our next inhale, we'll come on out towards that plank. And you don't have to do a full plank. That is up to you. You can always do forearm plank. You can put your knees down and do a half plank. Find the strength that you can. If you like to do push-ups, go right ahead. Bend your elbows a little bit into those push-ups. And then we'll come on back into down dog. Reaching back. If you need to bend your knees, do that. You know that. Really focus on the length of your spine. And we'll bring the right foot forward to find lunge here. So, you can put your left knee down to get it there. Totally up to you. How you get into that lunge. And then we'll come on back forward into standing forward bend with our feet hips distance apart. And be mindful again as you come into your forward bend so that you don't feel any kind of stress in your back. And then just go right to your breaths. Feel the ribs expanding as you inhale. Let your face, on every exhale, just imagine your face getting softer and softer. Good, and then we'll bring our hands right back up to our hips as we bend our knees and rise up to standing, and inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Let's sit back into a little chair pose. You don't have to go deeply. It's kind of up to you and your legs, your hips, your thighs. Bend your knees right out over the center of your feet, though, so that you really feel like you're okay that way. And then bring your gaze out maybe 5 or 6 feet in front of you on the floor. Really feel those thighs engaging. Press into your feet like you're pushing the floor away from you. And then keep pressing into the feet. Rise up. Inhale your hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward into that standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that flat, long back. And this time we'll step our left foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So again, take your time coming into dog. If you want to walk your dog, by all means do, or let your head move around a little bit, turning your head side to side. Good, and then come on back to your full dog. Let your next inhale bring you on out towards your plank. Again, it's totally optional what kind of plank you do. Forearm, knees down. If you like to do push-ups, you can bend your elbows, let yourself come into some strength there for the arms and the shoulders. And then when you're ready, coming on back again into downward facing dog pose. Feel your hands as equal as you can on the surface they're on, whether it's the blocks or the chair or the floor. And then from here, let's bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And again, be mindful and go right to your breath. Just make sure you're okay with what supports you have under your hands or your elbows. Let go through your face again and let your jaw really release. I mean, if it helps you, you can kind of yawn or move your mouth around a little bit. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bend our knees and press into our feet and rise back up again. Inhaling the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right just over our head. And then interlace your fingers, clasp your hands, and put your hands right at the back of your head. And if you can just gently press the back of your head into your hands without lifting your chin up. So really feel that length in the back of your neck and throat. Feel how you engage in your belly and your low back too when you do this. One more breath. And then start to turn the hands, palms up towards the ceiling and press up into the heels of your hands. And lean just a little bit over towards your right, just coming into a little bit of a side stretch there. And then come back through center and go just a little bit the other way. And feel as you press up into the heel of the hand, all that space through the right side of the body. And then come on back into center again. And release your hands, bend your knees, and fold forward back into that standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find that nice, long, flat back, however you need. And we're going to come into down dog. Whether you want to have your hands up high or low, place your hands where you like, and walk your way back into downward facing dog pose. And on our next inhale, we'll come on out towards a plank. And you all know from here, it's up to you whether you stay in a plank or do push-ups or come into a back bend. So if you'd like to come down to the floor and do a sphinx or a cobra, or you can come into an up dog and then make your way back into your downward facing dog pose. Remember, those are optional back bends. Take your time, kind of move around your dog a little bit. You might want to wag your tail. You might want to bend your knees deeply, play around a little bit. And then we're going to do that same thing. Come come on out again towards that plank. Again, it is totally optional to do a back bend. If it feels fine to you to come into any form of a back bend, you can. If not, don't do it. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. Good. And from here, let's bring our left foot forward to find lunge. And then come back again into our standing forward bend. So just be mindful of your feet. Make sure you have that distance apart. Your feet are fairly parallel. If any of you want to hold your elbows because you like that full weight, go right ahead. If you know that's too much for your back, use whatever support you want. And just be with your breaths. Full deep breaths. Find that sense of releasing a little bit in those spaces between your breaths. So you feel when the end of your inhale happens, that little pause before you exhale. And the same thing at the end of your exhale. You feel that little pause, that little space before you inhale. Good. One more breath. And then bringing our hands on back up to our hips, we'll bend our knees and rise on up. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So adjust if you need to into your mountain pose. If you need to sway around a little bit, by all means do, or look at your feet. Just be really mindful of feeling as balanced and equal between your feet as you can. Once you bring your gaze on forward and out, whether you have your eyes opened or closed, just get that sense of length in the back of your throat. And let your chin be at that place where you don't feel tightness in your neck, right? So you're not jutting your chin forward, but you're not tucking it back either. Feels like your head's floating up there on top of your spine. Feet grounded, so you're rooted equally through your feet. Enjoy that quiet strength of simply standing in your mountain pose. And then we'll let our arms release on down beside us. Shake out a little bit if you want to. Walk around. I'm going to turn my chair around, and if you have no chair, make sure your blocks are handy there at the front of your mat. We're going to step our right foot back, and we're going to come on into Warrior Two. So getting that back foot about parallel to the back edge, lining up those heels, and then lastly, lining up that front knee, that left knee, coming no farther forward than your ankle. And then from there, just float your arms up. Let your hands come a little higher than your shoulders. Let your shoulders melt down. You can even kind of shrug a little bit if that feels good. Lift your shoulders up and then let them release down. Once that feels kind of good, lower your hands a bit so you can look right out over the top of that left hand easily. Reaching back through the right fingertips, forward through the left. Feel your feet equal in the floor. Good. And let's bring our right hand right on down to our right hip, straighten our left knee out, and bring our left hand down for a triangle pose. So your hand can come on your chair back, to your chair seat. It can come on a block if you like a block, or you can have the hand on your leg. And then you start to, as you look to the side there, long edge of your mat, you can decide if you want to add the right arm up, straight up from your shoulder. Feel the thighs engaging up towards the hips, so your legs are very active. You're really engaging all those muscles around your knees. Good. We're going to bend the left knee and come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other. And now let your hands come down. We're going to find a lunge. So as you bring your hands down and you release your right heel directly behind you, you find that full lunge again here. And we'll bring our left hand to our left hip and turn on into a twist. So hand can stay on your low back, or you can keep your hand on your hip if that's better for your shoulder. Or you can stretch the left arm up as you choose to. So just be mindful, let it feel good, feel the length of the spine, and try to stay fairly level in your hips there. One more breath. And then bring your left hand on back down. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And then bend your knees. Bring your hands on up to your hips and rise on up to standing. We'll inhale the arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down as the top of our head floats upward. Coming back to that mountain pose. Shift around a little bit if you want till you find that balance, right? And you feel your aligned pelvis there. Make sure you're reaching your tailbone down. And then we'll release our arms on down beside us. Shake out just a little bit, and we're going to come to the other side. So left foot will step back. We're finding that warrior two, so lining up the heels, and make sure that back foot is aligned where you feel okay in that ankle and in that knee and that hip. And then align that front knee. That's the really important part, not letting the knee come inward, lining it up over the center of your foot. Floating your arms up, again, higher than your shoulders. And then kind of lift your shoulders up by your ears where it doesn't feel good. And then let your shoulders melt down. And as the hands lower, where you just feel just perfect to look out over that right hand there, bringing yourself into your warrior two. Bring your awareness to your feet for a minute. Imagine you're trying to lengthen your mat a little bit with your feet. Strong into your hips. Good. And we're going to put our left hand down on our left hip, straighten our right leg out, and bring our right hand down for that triangle. So it doesn't matter how high or low you go in triangle, right? You can have your hand on your thigh. You can have it down onto a block or to your shin. But as you look towards the long edge of your mat and you roll that left shoulder up, you can decide if you want to stretch the left arm up as well or keep the left hand down on your hip. And again, it is really strong legs here. Thighs lifting up towards the hips, feeling that sense of engagement, all the muscles around the knees. Good. We're going to bend the front knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And now let your hands come down. We're going to find lunge, remember, so you might want to use your blocks. You might want to use your chair. Releasing that left heel now directly behind your foot. And we'll bring our right hand on up to our hip and roll our shoulder up. You're more than welcome to put your hand flat, palm down on your sacrum there if that feels good. Or you can stretch the arm up if you want to, straight up from your shoulder. Just be mindful. Let it feel good. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring that hand on back down again. We're going to step forward and get our feet right under us. And then we'll bend our knees and rise on up again. And inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Just take a couple breaths here in the mountain. If you need to adjust around a little bit, by all means do. It's fine to sway. It's also fine to kind of look at your feet and see if you're parallel and make sure you have the distance between your feet that feels really the most solid for you, because there's no right or wrong in how close your feet are together. And then go ahead and let your arms unfold on down beside you and shake out a little bit. And now let's turn. So you guys turn to face the door you came in. And we're going to step wide on our mats, okay, and turn our toes out a little bit, all right? So like for goddess, right? And then from there, bring your arms straight out from your shoulders. Bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Let your palms face towards that long edge of your mat. And bend your knees just a little bit. Not deep, not a deep goddess, just a little. And now when you inhale, straighten your legs, straighten your arms, and be like the letter X. And then when you exhale, bend your elbows, bend your knees again a little bit. Don't go real deep. And then when you inhale, come back to that letter X again. And then one more time. Bend your knees, your elbows. And then come into the letter X. Really spread your fingers wide. Good. And now go ahead and come back a little bit into the knee bend. Bring your arms now into giving yourself a hug. It doesn't matter which arm on top, but you're going to remember which one, okay? Well, actually, we'll just switch right away. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and come either into your eagle wrap or stay hugging. So whichever feels best to your shoulders. And if your legs start to scream at you, straighten your legs up, right? Because that'll take the pressure out. And you can always bend the knees again a little bit when you feel okay to do that. In other words, don't go really extreme. Just feel your hips a little bit, feel your legs. Good. We're going to unwrap our arms, bring them straight out from our shoulders like a T position. And now bring your other arm on top. So giving yourself a hug the other way. Again, you can try bending your knees, or you can bring them straight if you need. And you can head towards that eagle wrap with your arms, or you can stay hugging. Let it feel really good. Good, nice. One more breath. And then let your arms come down, straighten your legs out, and turn your feet more parallel. You're still wide. And from here, let your left hand stay down on the outside of your left thigh and rise your right arm up overhead. And then just slide your left hand down your leg. Come into a side stretch here with the legs wide. Feels different when the legs are wide. So keep your left hand down on your leg. It kind of supports you, and just breathe into the right side. Good. And then come on back up. We're going to lower the right hand down, rise the left arm up. Slide the right hand down the outside of your right leg. You can go as far as you want. You can go towards the outside of your knee if you want to. You can stay up higher. Breathe into that side. You're stretching. And then rise on back up. We're going to bend both knees. You might want your blocks because we're going to come forward into a wide-legged forward bend. So take your time. Have your hands on whatever surface you like to use. And go ahead and bend a knee at a time if your knees let you do that, right? So you can just easily come from one side to the other. And then come even between your feet and your legs. So knees can be bent or straight. And walk your hands over to the right. Maybe you just want to shift your blocks over to the right a little bit. And then we'll come back to center, and we'll just walk the other way. So take your time, let your legs adjust when you're over to that side like that. Good, and then make your way back into center. And you're more than welcome to set up for this pose however is comfortable for you. You know that. You can stack blocks up so you get out of your hands and you still have a long back, and use the blocks to support you on your forearms there, or you can go ahead and release, let your head hang. Just be mindful of how your back feels, and remember, it's fine to either have your knees bent or straight, but try to feel at least like your legs are equal, right? So if your knees are both bent, try to let them be equally bent. And then just breathe. Just release to where you can. Feel your breath now, fully and deeply, coming in and going out. Good. And one more nice, full, deep breath. And to rise up, be mindful, take your time. You know you can bring your feet together first if you need to. Let yourself come on up to standing, and then walk your feet on together. Move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. And let's pull our mats all the way into a wall. We've got lots of wall space today, so take your pick.
Oh, yes.
Find a spot, and let's get our blocks. Come into doing a little bit of warrior 3, if possible, with our back foot to the wall. All right. Now, if you know you don't like putting your back foot to the wall, and like if you're putting your, let's all do right foot back. If it's too much to put your foot all the way into the wall, you can bend your knees, right? Sometimes that helps enough for you to be able to do this pose with the knees bent a little bit, keeping your hands on the blocks. Or sometimes it's just like, no, that is too much for my hip, which means you can step farther away from the wall and just rise the foot up and come into your warrior 3 without the wall, right? So whichever works for you, take your time, let yourself adjust. If you do have your foot into the wall, remember the toes are facing directly down in warrior three. Just imagine that you're pushing into the wall with the foot, if your foot's connected to the wall. And then kind of imagine you're drawing it up towards the ceiling a little bit. And if anybody wants to bring their left hand off the block, you can bring your hand up to your thigh or up to your chest or up to your low back if you want. And if you're like, no, I'm not doing that, just be where you can. And then bring that foot on down, and right away, without even thinking about it, do the other leg. So it is a huge relief just to put that foot up on the wall. Or not on the wall, just balance. And again, you can bend both your knees a little bit if that's better. You can press that back foot, left foot into the wall if you've got the connection there, and imagine you're trying to pull it up a little bit towards the ceiling. And that might make you want to rise your right hand up off the block to your thigh or to your chest or to your low back, or it might not, right? Feel the nice strong hips and legs. They're beautiful. And then when you're ready, let your hand come on down, let your foot come down, and bring your feet a little wider than your shoulders. Not much, but a little. And then go ahead and rise on up to standing. And then step back to the wall. And then let your feet come forward. And again, they're a little bit wider than your shoulders. And then bring yourself forward if you can with your elbows above your knees and let yourself squat that way. So that you can release your hips, release your back. Good. Let it feel like a relief. Good. And now, come on up and let's walk back to the wall. Turn our right shoulder to the wall. And then tilt your head so the right side of your head is all the way into the wall. So you might decide you want to kind of get farther or closer to the wall with your feet. Doesn't matter. Just so you can be supported. Your head is supported by the wall there. And just kind of imagine you're pressing your head gently into the wall. Just gently. Just so you can feel this sense of engaging a little bit in the left side of your neck. And then just breathe. Good. And then start to rise your head up here now. And then bring your inside right arm up overhead. Now, to bend that elbow, you may decide you want to get closer to the wall. But you may decide you want to get farther from the wall. Bend that right elbow. Let the right hand come down behind you, whether it comes to the back of your head or your neck or your upper back. And if your left hand can come behind you with its resting the back of your hand onto your low back, do. Of course, you all know if you like to do a little more in this pose, you can think of bringing your hands closer together on your mat. Keep your gaze forward and out so that you're not looking down to round your upper back that way, but instead, it's like your heart comes forward a little bit, your chest comes forward a little bit. Good, nice. One more breath here. And then step away from the wall, bring that right arm down. We're going to turn right on around to the other side. And again, when you get pretty close to the wall and you tilt your head, left side of your head into the wall, you may decide you want to step farther away or be closer in. That really just depends on you. But again, the wall is supporting you and you're pressing your head very gently into the wall. Gently. Remember, just not so that it feels stressful. It's just a gentle engagement in the right side of your neck. One more breath there. And then rise your head on back up. And left inside arm comes up the wall. Again, you can step closer or farther away when you bend that elbow. You know, that depends on your shoulder. The right hand can come behind you, palm facing out, if that's possible, but don't do anything that feels uncomfortable in your shoulders. Again, you can reach your hands closer towards each other, but keep the gaze forward. See if you can again feel almost like your chest is a little bit forward. Not so much that you're hyperextending into your ribs. Yeah, no, none of you are. Perfect. And then, man, oh man, that takes that any kind of roundness in the upper back away. Keeping that mobility in your shoulders. Nice. One more breath. And then as you release your arms down, step away from the wall a little bit more. Now turn to face the wall. Put your hands on the wall. Step your feet back. And come into like a down dog. That doesn't mean you have to be parallel to the floor with your torso. You can have your hands up higher. Hug your elbows in a little bit towards your head. You can go lower if you want. You can get a 90-degree angle at your hips if that feels good to you. That is totally up to you. Lengthen through the spine. Good. Imagine your heart melting a little more towards the ground. Beautiful. Good. Now from here, if possible, keep your feet where they are and let yourself come to forearms on the wall. Now that might not be possible. If you're way back with your feet at that 90-degree angle, you might have to step in a little bit. Come into your forearms, clasping your hands like a forearm plank. Pressing into your forearms, feeling the elbows hug gently towards each other. Engage your belly. And if you can, when you inhale, let your heels rise up a little bit. And when you exhale, let them come back down. So you're using your core body there. Inhaling, rising the heels a little bit, but really feeling your belly and your low back and your hips. And coming back down with your breath. So take your time. Good. Nice. And feel the backs of your legs too. It's a great stretch. It's also really good for core strength. Good. One more. And then when you're done, walk back in towards the wall and bring your arms down, shake out, swing your arms a little bit around. And I forgot to tell you to get a strap before we go down to the floor. Everybody walk over and get a strap. I'd bring you one, but rather than have even more spreading them. So, we're going to come down to the floor, and we're going to sit at first. We don't quite need the straps yet, but have them handy. And we'll do just a classic seated twist here. So as your legs are out in front of you, move through your feet and your ankles a little bit, whether you like to circle the same direction or you like to circle your feet in opposite directions. Feel your ankles and your feet a little bit. You know, sit up on a blanket if you want. Shake out a little bit. Good. And I won't mirror you here. Let's all do our right foot across to the outside of our left leg, if we can. If that's too much, don't do it. Keep the foot on the inside. If you can bring it either below the knee or above the knee, do. And then let yourself sit up nice and tall. So you have that nice length all the way up through the top of your head. And then your left hand will come to your right knee. Or if the knee's right there, you can put your elbow, the crook of the elbow in the knee, and then bring your right hand behind you for that twist. So take your time. Let yourself lengthen up. Very nice. You know, and if you have a lot of twist in you, you can bring the arm all the way to the across to the outside of that knee if you want. That also depends on how high the knee up is, where it is, right? So just enjoy. Feel like you're lifting your pelvic floor a little bit here. And that you're really lengthening up through the top of your head. One more breath. And then use your belly to come on back around. And we're going to switch our legs. So Right leg comes long, left leg again can be on the inside or the outside, as low or as high as you want. You can hold on to your shin there and lengthen way up through the top of your head. And then as you start to come across, either with your hand or the crook of your elbow or all the way across, bring your left hand behind you and just enjoy here. Feeling that again, that sense of the twist in the middle of your back. Your sit bones are reaching down equally. Good. Enjoy coming into that twist, and you know how far back you look behind yourself or whether you look towards the wall, like directly beside you. That is up to you, up to how it feels in your neck. Good, so one more breath here. And then use your belly to unwind yourself back around. Stretch your legs out and bring your hands behind you. Now, if you'd rather stay up on fingertips, tips of your fingers do, you can if you want. Turn your fingertips kind of back towards the wall behind you and then draw your chest forward that way. That's really up to you. Don't put weight in the hands if you don't want. Keep your fingertips only on the floor. And then just see if you can come into a couple of 3-part breaths. Inhaling into the belly, and then the ribs, and then up into your chest. And then release to come on back up. And then, even if you just bow your head rather than a forward bend, let your head come forward a little bit. If you want to release farther forward over your legs, by all means do. You know, if you want to reach down to get your ankles or reach to your toes, do, but let yourself release there, both in the back and in the backs of your legs and your neck. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly come on up. And we are going to come down to our back. But before you go down, make sure you have both your strap handy and block, just in case. All right? And then when you do come down, let your feet be on the floor and your knees be up. And then just let your knees easily go from one side to the other. So it really feels good to your back to just let the knee, and they don't have to go far. You know, they can just barely, or you just barely shift to the top of one hip and then the other. Or maybe it feels really good to let the knees come down more towards the ground when you go to the side. Just experiment, see what works for you. Good. And then the next time your knees come back up, let them stay there. Bring your right knee now in towards your chest. You can hold behind your thigh or your shin, whatever works. And extend your left leg down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Just enjoy now feeling that sense of the natural curves coming back into your back. And see if you can just let your head roll from side to side. Really, instead of imagining you're turning your head, really imagine that it is just kind of rolling on its own. You're releasing there through the neck and also just kind of getting a little massage in the back of your head from the floor. And the next time you come to look back up at the ceiling, so you're back into center, stay there. And we'll bring the left knee in, and we're going to extend the right leg down long on the floor. So again, you're flexing through your feet. You're feeling that left leg gently coming into your hands. And there's the curves in the back. And now again, if you can, let the head roll slowly side to side. So it feels really good. It's relaxing. If you find some places that are tight in your neck or maybe into the between the shoulder blades on your back. You can always stay in that one place where you can feel the head just releasing there and maybe letting those muscles release a little deeper. Good, and then the next time again that you come back to face up towards the ceiling, let's go ahead and bring both feet down to the floor and let yourself separate your feet for where you would be for your normal bridge pose. And then you can decide, do you want to bring your arms down, maybe even bend your elbows, do those robot arms if it feels better, and press into the backs of the arms and float on up a little bit. Or maybe you right away want to grab your block and come into a supported bridge. So take your time, and if you know that you get up to your bridge pose and it doesn't feel quite right where you have your feet, then just come back down and readjust how close your heels are to your buttocks before you rise up, because that actually can make a huge difference. Remember, you'll feel your thighs in your bridge pose, but you don't want to feel any kind of discomfort in your back. Your thighs are working. You're thinking of the top buttock muscles reaching down towards your knees. You're also really open in the front of your body, but you don't feel any kind of compression in your back. And of course, if you like support, you can go to that block any height underneath your sacrum there and just lie and rest on your block and let yourself release there. I know some of you like supported bridge and some of you don't, so just be mindful. Now, of course, when you're ready to come down, take your time when you do come on down. Let yourself, once you're down to the ground with your hips, bring your knees in one at a time towards your chest. Separate your knees just a little bit and kind of draw your knees like you're pulling them down towards the floor, towards the outside of your ribs a little bit. You can do happy baby if you'd rather. You can go ahead and come into separating the knees further into a Baddha Konasana if that feels even better. Just take your time. Let yourself find your low back and hip release that's best for you. And then we're going to bring our feet down so we can get our strap. And we're going to come into that strap stretch, right ball of the foot into the strap here now. So your left foot can stay on the floor while you get situated, getting the strap across the ball of your foot. Take your time, let yourself bend your right knee as much as you need. Feel the weight of your arms, however you're holding, whether you're holding up by your foot or you're bending your elbows and letting your upper arms be on the floor. It doesn't matter. Once you start to try to extend that left leg, take your time. If that doesn't feel good, put it back on the floor. You don't have to have a long leg there. And then just press gently into the strap with the ball of your foot. Don't feel like you're pulling your leg towards you. Feel like you're engaging the leg, but it's getting an easy stretch, right? Just be mindful. That leg can be way far away from you. You're not trying to pull it in. And one more breath there. And then hold both ends of the strap with your right hand. Let your left hand rest on the top of your left hip and open the leg out to the right. Keep pressing into the strap a little bit with the ball of your foot. It doesn't matter how far you go out to the side. Find a little bit of that, really the inner thigh as you press into the foot there, into that strap. And then come on back up to the top. Switch hands with your strap. So your left hand comes over to get the straps. You stretch your right arm out beside you. And you can bring that leg just a little to the left. So you get into the outside of your right leg there. And if you want a little more there, you can use your left hand to pull like you're pulling the strap towards the floor. but you push back with your foot into the strap, and that engages the whole outside of your leg, right? You don't have to do that part. And of course, if you like to release and go deeper and deeper over into a twist, having that leg come farther over, by all means do. Just be where you can. Let the right shoulder stay grounded. And then we'll come back up with the foot on, back up overhead. And all we're going to do is switch legs. So bringing that left foot into the strap, put your right foot on the floor at first. And go ahead and take time to get the strap. You guys were all had it right across the base of your ball of your foot there. And then, of course, bending that left knee. If you can extend that right leg long, do. Again, if it doesn't feel good, bring it back. Put the foot on the floor. Bend that knee as much as you choose. And, of course, if you decide to come into a straighter leg, you can let the leg come away from you and press into the strap with the ball of your foot. So you're engaged both in the front and the back of your leg right now. You don't want to feel a pulling sensation at your sitting bone. If you do, let the leg come further away, all right? Good. Full breaths. Nice. And now bring both ends of the strap. Left hand holds on, right hand goes to your right hip, and you open to the left a little bit. And you can go a few inches, or you can go lower and lower towards the ground if you want with that leg. Just keep pressing gently into the ball of the foot. And then rising back up with the leg to the top, bring your right hand over to get the straps. Let your left arm come out beside you. Again, you can go just a little across the midline and kind of pull down with your right hand, but push back into the strap with your foot. If you like a lot going on the outside of your leg there, you can find it. Or you can keep going over with that leg lower and lower towards the floor there to the right, and you can decide if you want to come deeper into that twist. Good. One more breath. And now as you come up to the top this time, put both feet up there into your strap if you can. And you can bend your knees as much as you want. You can start to separate your feet, and they can go as wide apart as you want them. You've got the strap there to hold, right? You can kind of hold so that you don't go any farther than feels good in your hips and your legs. So you can let your feet come as wide as you choose. And remember, they don't have to be up close to you. They can be down, farther away from you. You can press into the strap with the balls of the feet. Feel your hips there, or you can just let the strap support you and just kind of hang out there. Good. And now from here, let your feet come on closer together. We're going to take the strap off. Just be really careful of that metal buckle. And then let your knees bend. Bring your knees in towards your chest. You can roll around side to side. If you'd rather do a little happy baby pose, by all means do. Anything that feels good right now to your hips and your low back. Okay, I mean, if you'd rather stretch and do a little bicycling up there, or let your legs go back and forth a little bit. If you feel like doing another little twist out of this, by all means, you can put your feet on the floor, let your knees go side to side, or anything else that sounds good to you. Kind of let your body follow just exactly what naturally comes from what we just did, right? Those are deep stretches, they're deep in the hips, and definitely Sometimes the body wants to do something different coming out of that. So take your time. Just start to get some lights out, and then I'll start to move around and decide if anybody would like some kind of support. So it might be nice to have a bolster underneath your knees. It might feel good to have a blanket underneath your head. So I'll move around and see.
I'll take a bolster.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So wait a minute, maybe something sounds good. Bolster. And just stretch if you need to stretch, wiggle around if you need to wiggle around. So coming into your Shavasana, or any kind of way that you'd like to be on the floor, laying, or you can be on your side. If you're really uncomfortable, really the most important thing is to be comfortable. So just take your time and let yourself just enjoy the ground for a little bit. Just giving your body and your brain a little bit of time here so you can benefit from everything you just did. And that just comes from letting yourself completely relax and finding those little quiet places where your mind gets a little less busy. So just give yourself the gift of these few minutes and allow yourself to completely and fully relax. deeper, a little fuller. Imagining those deeper breaths, bringing you back into wanting to move. You know, you can start with your extremities, move your way up into your hands, your feet, your arms, your legs. Take your time. You can let your head roll side to side if you want, stretch or bend. Just be mindful. You know you're welcome to roll to either side if you're comfortable to come onto your side. Just appreciate the ground a little bit longer and take your time so that when you do feel like you're ready to rise up to sitting, it feels kind of good to again get up to be sitting comfortably and getting your head up above your heart again. Adjusting so that you're comfortable how you're seated for your hips. Let your hands go to a place that feels comfortable for your shoulders. Let your eyes stay gently closed. And just enjoy watching your breath again, in and out through your nose. And on your next exhale, allow your hands to come to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy